What is up, guys? Here back in another YouTube video. In today's video, we're talking about multiple days of severe weather, dangerous flash flooding, and there's a significant heat wave that is going to end soon. Let's get right into this video. Alright, so the first thing we're going to be talking about in today's video is a slight risk of severe storms that we do have ranging from portions of Montana all the way through eastern Wyoming, southwestern portions of South Dakota near Badlands National Park, basically all of Nebraska and portions of extreme northwestern Missouri and portions of western Iowa regions across this risk of severe storms today. Now, the timing for these storms will be really late into the late evening hours to the nighttime hours, especially here towards Nebraska and Iowa, where these storms will primarily be damaging wind potential, especially with a risk of significant damaging winds really close to North Platte and Omaha areas. Across those areas there. Now, this will be some thunderstorms that will congeal into a line of storms ranging all the way through the overnight hours. We could see storms at 2 or 3 in the morning, so definitely have those alerts out there in those regions, as these storms could be occurring really late tonight. Now, the storms that will be occurring across portions of Montana into Wyoming and South Dakota regions, those will be more isolated in nature and more thunderstorm-like, not congealed into a line, so they will pose more of a hail threat tonight, especially near Billings, Casper, and Rapid City, so definitely be weather aware for that. Now, if you look at day 2 severe weather threat, this is just a marginal risk of severe storms that ranges all the way across Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, northern Kentucky, northern West Virginia areas, portions of Pennsylvania, upstate New York areas, into New Jersey, portions of Maryland, Connecticut, Massachusetts, and southern Vermont, southern New Hampshire, and extreme southern Maine regions. A huge marginal risk of severe storms today, with a lot of threat potential here. A lot of these storms will occur across the late afternoon to early evening hours, especially here. We could see some storms firing off near St. Louis, Missouri, Springfield, and Kansas City areas during the afternoon hours around 5 to 6 p.m., maybe even a little bit earlier or later. Now, these will just mostly pose a threat of damaging wind across these regions. Really not much of a hail threat, just a damaging wind threat for all these areas from Kansas City all the way over to New York City and Boston areas here. So a huge marginal risk of severe storms, and I do expect one area to probably get upgraded to a slight risk of severe storms once we get closer to this. If my thinking, it would be somewhere in this region, really close to St. Louis, Springfield, Indianapolis, Chicago, and Cincinnati and Columbus regions, just due to the fact that we have a lot more wind shear and environmental capabilities to produce more strong damaging winds in these regions, and some of the models are hinting at some more severe weather in those areas there, especially near St. Louis, Springfield, Chicago, Indianapolis tomorrow on Wednesday. Stay safe there, guys. Now, if you look at the timings for these storms that will occur today across portions of Nebraska into South Dakota, Iowa, Wyoming, and Montana regions, we could see some storms start to develop here around 7 to 8 p.m., especially in portions of Montana, Wyoming, South Dakota, and North Dakota areas. It's basically on the top right of the screen. I can barely fit it in there. If I go to the continental United States, you can probably see it better. But these will pose a risk of hail, and basically just a big-time hail risk, especially across southern Montana, portions of Wyoming, South Dakota, really close to Rapid City areas, into the late evening to overnight hours on Tuesday. And then if we look at the storm potential, which is a completely different threat across Nebraska, Iowa, and South Dakota regions, we will see a ton of thunderstorms, a huge cluster of storms, especially over central Nebraska and Iowa regions. Now, this will just pose mostly just a risk of damaging winds. Hail is possible, but nothing too significant there. Mostly a risk of damaging winds that will occur from 9 p.m. all the way through the overnight hours, maybe all the way to 4 a.m., especially once these storms start to reach Des Moines. And some of the models are hinting at a potential line of storms to develop near Des Moines areas in the morning hours on Wednesday, actually, that will occur through Iowa. We'll take a look at that. It's in a marginal risk of severe storms, so there definitely could be some damaging winds associated with that too. Now, if we look at the timing for some of the storms tomorrow, we could see some storms start to develop across central Missouri and pose an isolated damaging wind threat there, especially near St. Louis and Columbia, Missouri, and then later impacting Springfield, Illinois regions with some damaging winds. I'd say around 5 to 6, 7, and 8 p.m. hours in the late afternoon to early evening hours across these regions. And I do think that's the main area for severe weather tomorrow. But if we do look at the eastern portions of the U.S., we could see some severe weather impact those areas too on Wednesday. Now, if we take a look at the flash flood risks that we do have over the next few days or so, starting with day 1 today on the 29th of July on Tuesday, we do have a big slight risk of excessive rainfall ranging all the way across portions of Colorado, Nebraska, northern Kansas, basically all of Iowa, southern Minnesota, and southern South Dakota. If you looked at the models earlier, these will be big clusters of lines of storms developing that will train over the same areas over and over again and cause a ton of rainfall tonight. I do think some areas could see moderate risk excessive rainfall level impacts, as a lot of the models are showing a consistent area of 3+ inches of rain, especially near Lincoln and Des Moines regions. And these storms will occur over the overnight hours, so definitely make sure to have alerts, especially in these regions. And remember to turn around and don't drown when encountering flooded roads, especially in this 2 out of 5 risk of flash flooding that we do have an effect. And then we do have another risk of flash flooding here across Ciudad Juarez, Las Cruces, Santa Fe, and really close to Albuquerque here in portions of central New Mexico regions. In this slight risk, 15 to 40% chance of flash flooding. And now, with this risk of flash flooding, there's not going to be a ton of rainfall, but just such little amount of rainfall can cause significant flooding, especially in areas like Ruidoso that sees flooding really quickly due to those areas being in mountainous regions and really flowing river areas and burn scars that can really easily flood instantly. So it only takes 2 inches of rain in these areas to just dangerously flood. So definitely be watching that. And be weather aware here today in central portions of New Mexico areas. And now tomorrow's flooding risk, with the first one including really close to Denver areas here in portions of New Mexico, the northern panhandle of Oklahoma and Texas, southwestern portions of Kansas, and central Colorado regions here, with some risks of flash flooding that you should be well aware for tomorrow, and a risk of flash flooding that is also including tomorrow on Wednesday, including Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, including St. Louis, Springfield, Chicago, Des Moines, in Columbia and Davenport areas. So definitely be well aware for that, as like we looked at the models earlier, some thunderstorms could develop over these areas. And for the storms up here, we could see some morning convection occurring that could cause some flash flooding, especially in the morning hours on Wednesday. And then for the southern area, the flash flooding risk, we could see some thunderstorms start to develop, and they could train a little bit. That's why we do have a flash flooding risk definitely across portions of these areas that you should be weather aware for on Wednesday. Across those regions that we do have there. Now for day 3's flash flooding risk potential, this is across portions of the Northeast and some very populated region that could cause some urban flash flooding here in portions of Virginia, North Carolina, Maryland, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, and portions of Connecticut, and Long Island areas in here, New York City, Philadelphia, and Washington, D.C. regions. Definitely be weather aware for this, as the Weather Prediction Center is hinting at the potential for an upgrade to moderate risk of flash flooding once we get closer to this on Thursday. This is due to a slow-moving front that could cause slow-moving thunderstorms and very high rainfall rates that could also cause training of thunderstorms over the same areas over and over again. So you should definitely be weather aware for this, as this is coming on day 3 on Thursday and could cause some dangerous flash flooding, especially for urban areas that are going to be included in this flash flooding risk. So definitely be really weather aware in these areas on day 3. All right, now I know you guys are all wondering, when will this heat wave ever end? Well, good news, guys. It is ending here soon over the next few days. You're going to have to deal with today and tomorrow, especially today with extreme heat across portions of the central and southern U.S., especially in the southeast and the central U.S. regions near Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama, Kentucky, Indiana, Illinois, Kansas, and Oklahoma. So many areas that are just extreme heat for days and days and days, and will continue into Wednesday here, especially across this part of the U.S. If you see in those darker colors and those pinkish reddish looking colors, that kind of does include heat indexes over 100 degrees, because we are looking at the heat indexes currently across the U.S. And then look at Thursday, it all pushes south. Now we'll still have extreme heat across the southeast, but look at all this relief we'll be seeing in portions of the Midwest, in Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey areas. It's going to be like 70 degrees in some spots on Thursday that we're just seeing 100-degree temperatures. And then we're going to see a huge amount of relief. Look how far south this pushes. So some huge relief is coming. It could get hot again once we get into next week, but really enjoy the weather, as it's going to be really below average across a lot of these regions. If we look at the GFS ensembles, real quick to show this. It's super hot across the U.S., above average. And then look, right when we get to Thursday, really below average temperatures encompasses most of the central and eastern U.S. with some huge relief coming, guys. I know it's just been hot for weeks and weeks and weeks, and I agree. I'm tired of this. So you'll have a few days starting around Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday with some really, really below average temperatures that are pretty unseasonably cold for the summer. Now, this is not going to mean it's going to be cold outside. It just means cold for the summer. So like 70 degrees or low 80s type of thing. But definitely some huge relief from the 100-degree temperatures. All right, I hope everybody did enjoy this video. Make sure to like and subscribe to my channel. Over the next few days or so, we're going to be seeing some severe weather, not too significant, but especially across portions of the Midwest, Central, and Northeastern portions of the U.S., and some dangerous flash flooding that will just occur over and over and over again, and starting today across portions of the Midwest, tomorrow in the Central U.S., and on day 3, that could be pretty significant in the Northeastern portions of the U.S., and we're going to be seeing this really big heat relief across a lot of the U.S. Really be excited for that, as our heat is going to finally go away on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Hope you guys did enjoy this video. Make sure to like and subscribe to my channel so you're prepared when the next weather strikes.